Autistic Gamer 7, and welcome back to another video here on the channel. I'm actually going to have this video set up a little bit differently. If I did it right, there should be a thing showing up over here, because I am going to be doing what I am hoping for the 5 DLC characters for Smash Brothers. By no means is this educated guesses on who they're going to actually put in there. Chances are only 1 or 2 of them might get in there. And I mixed these once in between a few different things. One, just ultimately who I really wanted. Like, I looked at people who I really wanted and who I legit thought should be in the game. I thought of people who would make sense and actually would be very possible to actually be added in, and also like how cool it would look, like how different the fighter would be and all that stuff, and sort of mixed those things together and decided which 5 sort of stuck out the most. So, I say 5, but it's going to be varying a little bit. And one of them is, some of them are more stronger on I just really want and think would be cool, while versus some are a little bit stronger on they have a high chance of actually being in there. But this is just the list that I've sort of come up with and such. Now, the DLC fighters, of course, are all been stated that they're going to be their own unique individual fighters. They're not going to be an Echo fighter. I don't know if that means Echo fighters are completely out of the picture. Part of me wants to say no, because one, they didn't say that these are the only 5 characters that will be DLC. They did not say that. So technically there is chance that there's still going to be other DLC characters after this, or maybe even in between, because if they do make any Echo fighters don't take as long to make as a regular fighter. So I still think there's a chance that we'll have more than that. I'm trying to remember how many DLC fighters there was for the last one on the Wii U. I don't remember how many. At this point, it's been so long, I forget who was already technically in the game and who was a DLC. I know Cloud and Bayonetta and Corrin were DLCs. So I had to look it up because I couldn't remember. Because I remembered, I think, some of the characters that had previously been in Smash Brothers that wasn't in Smash Brothers for Wii U got some DLCs for them. And there were some, like Mewtwo and Roy, I think, and Lucas. No, wasn't Lucas. Was it Lucas? Did I read I don't remember. But there was around 7 that got added in after that one. So, I mean, technically it is pretty close to the 5, but there still may be a chance. You never know with Nintendo, honestly. But anyway, let me get to my hopes and wants and things like that. And this is in no way any order. So, just keep that in mind. It's literally just random. I'm gonna start off with the first one, which is the one that is more like would make one of the ones that would make the most sense. And this is from listening to a few other people. They actually come from a game I've never played, which is why I say this one does not highly recommend not highly on the wants list. But I still would like to sort of see more characters from that game. I have been interested in actually giving that game a try, but I just never have actually given a round from it. And I actually don't fully know much about the characters themselves. So, like I said, this is more of what I think is likely to do. And that is going to be Rex and or Pyra. I don't know. I think they're actually connected somehow. Like I said, I haven't played the game, so I'm not 100% sure on that whole situation with those two. But I think it would be cool to give Xenoblade Chronicles a little bit more representation. And honestly, I would think that since Smash Brothers has actually caused a lot of other people to give certain games that they never thought to give a actual try, because you see the characters on Smash Bros. Like, wonder what game they come from. Let me play it. And I feel like that Xenoblade is one of them that they're probably going to be pushing a little bit more. So that's why I think that one is going to be more of like a high probability. And technically, I don't think either one of them have an assist trophy. I do know Rex has the Mii Fighter costume, which doesn't technically mean anything because there was a lot of Mii Fighter costumes in the previous Smash Brothers that were also a fighter or became a fighter. So I don't think that necessarily means that he's not in there, but I feel like there's a high chance that it could be a future character, and it would make a lot of sense, and I think it would be good for that series to try to get them more notable people, but also I'm pretty sure a lot of the characters in that game have a lot of more venturing on the sword side of things, and I love sword fighters, so I'm okay with more of them. Some people are not, but I am. Because I love sword fighters. Fire Emblem my Fire Emblem characters are usually my go-to characters when I play Smash Brothers, along with, like, Link and Cloud, so, you know, they're up there, and I wouldn't mind more of them, so I'm okay with that. Okay, next I'm going to move on to one, since I'm talking about Swords Fighter, and particularly Fire Emblem characters. The next one I am hoping I would like. I sort of updated this a little bit, because originally I just said one particular character, but then I added, you know, maybe a character from at least this group. And that is, I think it would be cool to have Camilla. I think Camilla's one of the higher known ones from the Fire Emblem Fates. I know Fates is a little bit older, that's why it's sort of a far stretch for her. But thinking about her, she doesn't have a sword technically. She actually has, like, this axe type weapon. So it's like a weapon that we really don't have in the game at all that I can think of. There may be, Simon Belmont may have an item that's sort of like an axe of some kind. But hers is like this great big huge thing. I have a statue of Camilla that actually is holding her axe in comparison to her, but I don't have it close to me right now, but it's literally up to her, like, her hip touching the ground, so it's a huge giant thing. And also thinking about, like, her final smash, she rides a dragon all the time, so I wouldn't necessarily say that she needs to be on the dragon during the fight for the majority of the time, but her final smash can include her dragon in some sort of way. So I think that would be a really cool character, but I will say the chances of her getting in are pretty low. She was one of the more favorite ones from that game title, but there is a new Fire Emblem game title coming, which I'm excited for. Even though I never can beat Fire Emblem, I have never once beat a Fire Emblem game, but I love them to death. So, yeah. But I'm excited that there is a new one on the horizon, which I think is called The Three Houses. So, I would be okay with seeing another Fire Emblem character maybe from that story. I would say that though I am strongly rooting for sword fighters and more of them, like I said previously, but, you know, there is a lot of different weapons in the Fire Emblem games that could also have a few, like, characteristics that if you main sword fighters, you probably could still use these people if they use a different weapon. But because there are a few other weapon choices, it would be cool for them to pick a weapon choice from a Fire Emblem character that wasn't necessarily a sword fighter. Like, there is, like I said, like the war axes and bows and arrows, which you could do that as, like, a main thing, but I know some of them have, like, close option ones, staffs and things like that, spears, you know. There's a lot of different weapons that actually are in Fire Emblem, and it would sort of be cool to see them implement those. They do have at least Robin showing off, like, the magic, and, you know, Corrin turns into the dragon. So there is some representation of a few other different things that pop up in Fire Emblem, but there's a few other weapons that haven't got any representation, so it'd be cool. I think I'd more strongly go for the fact that there's a war axe type thing, like Camilla's axe, and if there's a character in the new game, which I'm sure there is, I just don't know if one of the main characters is going to be, but I would totally be okay with another Fire Emblem character. But I think one of the new ones are more likely to be chosen if they choose a Fire Emblem one, because that new game coming out next year, it would help bring attention to that game instead of a past game. Though I would be really happy if it was Camilla, because Camilla is amazing. But anyway, okay, the next one is another one that is a pretty big mix of very possible, and I can see them doing it for multiple strategy business reasons, and I actually would be pretty cool and want to actually try to give this character a try, and that is going to be Ribbon Girl from ARMS. So ARMS does have representation in Ultimate by Ribbon Girl Mii costume and the assist trophy of Springman, but there is there isn't a actual playable character. Now, they did state because of the timeline of when they started working on the Smash, like Super Smash Brothers and ARMS, there was not a chance to actually add a character currently, which I think that is a big thing, like they couldn't do it at the time. But with more time passing, that gives it a higher chance. So I feel like an ARMS character does have a really high chance of being in there. I do feel like if you were going to do that, you should do one of the two main ones, which is Springman and Ribbon Girl. They're the ones that really, they're on like the box art and they display. I know like Twin Tails, or what is her name? She uses her hair instead. She's a really popular one, and I do think she is really cool. I've played ARMS a little bit, but I haven't played it like a whole lot. Sometimes it's just I simply forget that it's actually, I have it. I don't know why, I just sort of forget that it's there. But, and it was a pretty fun game. It wouldn't be one that I would play like long hours like some of the others, but it is still a pretty fun game to play. I feel like it'd be a little bit funner with friends, and I haven't actually played it with friends. So, but I think Ribbon Girl a little bit more strongly has had, like, I think more people have been more liked her, just from my personal experience. But also, since Springman is also already a Sis trophy, I think it would be easier to instead, like, program it to where he doesn't show up when there is a playable fighter of Springman on the thing, or remove him completely. Just make Ribbon Girl and let Springman still have a representation as an assist trophy. So I think I really would prefer Spring Girl. Why am I just called her Spring Girl. Ribbon Girl. What the heck? Much would prefer Ribbon Girl to be the ARMS representation in Smash, but I really think Ribbon Girl, out of a lot of characters, like Ribbon Girl, Springman, or at least some ARMS character, has probably the highest chance out of all of them. I could be really wrong, but I feel like they do. Just because I think they are trying to get that game more recognized and more well known, so I think there is a very high chance that it could have a representation in Smash, and I think it would make a lot of sense. So I would be pretty excited to see one of them in there, but I think Ribbon Girl is the one that I would go with the most, personally. Okay, so the next one is a character that I actually absolutely love, and really would, I never beforehand thought of this character actually being in Smash. Like, though I love them more than a lot of other characters, I didn't see how they could play a role and how they can be a thing in Smash Brothers. But then I overheard, when I was watching one video, I heard them talking about their opinions if this character somehow got in, and some of the abilities, and I started thinking about it, and I was like, that little plot twist could be really cool to have, but I feel like this one has a long shot. Even though it is a very, very beloved and popular character, I do feel like it has somewhat of a long shot. But the other one, this, like I said, this is more of a hope than anything, is actually Eevee from Pokemon. Now, again, before hearing this person sort of talk about their opinions if Eevee was ever to be in the game, I didn't think Eevee would be a good choice. One, Eevee is a pre-evolution, and usually pre-evolutions are not as strong as the final evolutions, and even if they are, still, you know, it's a little different, but also there's already so many Pokemon, and fitting Eevee in with the other Pokemon, a lot of them are mostly like legendaries or something like that, or they're like a big, huge deal for whatever reason. I still don't get Greninja, but it's fine. So, but you know, Eevee is very popular. A lot of people do like her, but I guess it's just seeing this little tiny thing actually fighting with all these characters, I just didn't really imagine. But then someone brought up if there was a way to actually include her evolutions into the mix, that maybe, and I started thinking about it, and I actually think that would be really cool. And there would be like several ways that you can do it. But the only thing is you can't de-evolve technically, so you would have to do it in a way that that would be the one problem, is that you couldn't de-evolve. But I think it would be cool And I think it either can be depending on the arena, or, you know, the Smash Ball, or implementing something like that. For instance, like, maybe there is a certain button combination that you can hit to activate the evolve thing, but you can only do it once, and once you evolve, you cannot change. So, you know, certain evolutions may have an advantage over other evolutions in different situations, depending on the characters you are fighting. But if you did it like that, I think you can either determine it, either let it just be random, so that the character themselves didn't know, but that would also be challenging to the people that they were fighting against. If you were fighting an Eevee and you knew that at some point they were probably going to evolve, you wouldn't know which one they evolved to, so you wouldn't know which one to be prepared for to fight against. So, like, yeah, you see an Eevee, but then you're like, are you fighting Umbreon? Are you going to be eventually fighting Vaporeon? Espeon? Leafeon? You don't really know. So, that would be an interesting way. Maybe there's a gauge that you can let Eevee fill up eventually, and once that gauge is filled, you can hit a button. That's another way of doing it. Or maybe, depending on the stage that you're fighting, depends on it. Like, if you're on a more fire, lava type stage, you evolve into Flareon at some point, or something like that. So including her evolutions would be really cool. Or maybe, like, the final Smash helps you, like, the Smash Ball helps you turn into the evolution, and as you're turning into evolution, it does damage in some sort of way. But, you know, I think if that could be done, that could be cool. I don't know how it would be gone about and how that would work, but that is the one thing that would be really cool, and it would set her apart from not only the other Pokemon, but all the other characters, because she would have these multiple evolutions that she can turn into. And I have heard in the new Pokemon game, Eevee is supposed to be getting another evolution. I don't remember if I heard what type it was, but there is supposed to be at least one new evolution for Eevee coming. So that also could be another way to advertise the new game, by giving this evolution a role in that sequence. But if they didn't do Eevee, I do feel like another Pokemon is very highly likely from the new Pokemon game, but, you know, Eevee would be pretty cool if you can do the evolutions. And that is the only reason why I would have considered her, was because of thinking about her evolutions being stirred into the mix. That would be pretty cool. So, otherwise, I wouldn't have put her on the list. Okay, the next one, which is the last 5th hopeful DLC character that I have, is one that I feel like at this point is really wanted and really deserves it, and I don't care how many characters from this game there is, I feel like this person just needs to be in it at this point, and that is Waluigi. Let him be in the game by now. Like, so many people want Waluigi, and I'm sure with how weird he sort of is, and his, like, body structure, you can do something different with him. But I'm sure at this point people would even settle with him trying to be an Echo Fighter or someone, though I don't know which Mario character you would give him to be an Echo Fighter of necessarily, because some of the ways he acts and stuff like that isn't the same, or the body structure isn't the same. So, like, the two that you would most probably closely link him to is Wario or Luigi, but they don't really move the same still, so. But either way, let him in the game by now. Like, past assist trophy as a playable character. So many people want him as a playable character, and I think he deserves it at this point. Like, let him be. So, also I just think Waluigi is pretty funny, so when you're with friends, I like having fun and being silly. So, I would be okay with Waluigi being there and being silly. I always have fun when he appears in other games, so just let him be already. As a little quick thing, talking about earlier with the Echo Fighters and stuff like that, there were a few that I did come across that I would really want in the game that I thought them themselves wouldn't stand out too much, and there was a character that they were quite a bit like, or because of the fact that, you know, I just want more characters from that game or something like that, it crossed my mind. So I have 4 that I would really like to sort of see as possibly Echo Fighters. 2 of them are actually from non-Nintendo games, so, you know, sometimes seeing more Echo Fighters from non-originally Nintendo games Could be a stretch, but still, I can hope. And that is going to be Shadow from Sonic the Hedgehog, because Shadow is super cool and he's better than Sonic in the first place. That's just me personally. I just really like Shadow. But I would love to play Shadow. I think he's already assist trophy. But again, there's easy ways that you can do things that... Okay, I don't remember exactly where I was because I had a phone call come through as I was speaking. I do know I was talking about Echo Fighters and Shadow the Hedgehog. And how I like Shadow a little bit better than Sonic in the first place. But that's just my personal experience. Some people grew up with Sonic before Shadow was even a thing. When I really got into Sonic games, Shadow was already a thing. So... probably part of the reason why it was easier for me to like Shadow quite a bit and a little bit more than Sonic himself. But personality and story-wise, I just like Shadow better. And I do know, I was saying that he was already assist trophy, but I do know that they can go in and change things a little bit. There's certain stages, I think, in the past where certain characters that were actually playable characters were in the background, but if you actually played as them, they disappeared off of that stage. So, and also, you can play as the same fighter more than once, technically. So there's a chance that you can have 8 Links at one time. So it's not really, I don't think it's that big of a deal, the fact that they're already assist trophies. I do know that there's going to be a little bit of a change somehow. Either they're going to have to take them out or just make them not be able to show up while that character's in play. But I still don't think the assist trophy necessarily would weed them out of being a character of some form. Like a playable character of some form, Echo or regular. So, but yeah, I would like Shadow. And if any other person was going to represent the Sonic series, I think Shadow would be the better one out of them all. So, I don't want Tails, that's for sure. I can't stand Tails at all. But Shadow would be really cool. Next is the Octolings. Partially because I just think the Octolings look cooler than the Splatoon, but also Splatoon has become such a big game for Nintendo. I feel like trying to have them a little bit more representation in Smash Brothers would make sense, and also a lot of people have really liked the Octolings. And I think at this point it doesn't seem like the Octolings are going to be a separate skin from, a separate, color skin thing on the Inklings. I can see them doing that, but from what I can tell, I haven't seen that that's going to be an actual option. Could be wrong, but I would like the Octolings to be represented somehow, whether it is an alternate skin of the Inklings or actually giving them an Echo Fighter status and making them have a few moves that are just a little bit differently or something like that, because, the Octolings are just slightly different anyway, so it would be nice to have the Octolings in some representation in a playable form, because I like the Octolings. I think they look cool. But, anyway, then nextly is going to be Dixie Kong. I feel like I don't play Donkey Kong and them stuff much, honestly, at this point, but I feel like it'd be pretty cool to have Dixie Kong in there, and I think she has a pretty high chance compared to some of the other ones. Now, if I had to choose in between the 4 that I'm stating as other Echo Fighters, if I had to choose the other 3, or her, I would choose one of the other 3. She's probably my least Echo Fighter want, or, Hope. But I like the option of Echo Fighters, and I also like having more diversity and more different options and characters that you can play as. Also, from my point of view, I know once I got older, I didn't care about this much at all, but I know just from watching my nieces play games and stuff like that, I see them doing a very similar thing, and that is when you're younger, you sort of usually play a character that's more towards either a game that you like or a similar gender as you. So having a few more female representation would be nice. It's mainly for some of the younger generations that's going to be into Smash Brothers. I mean, maybe some of the older generations care, but I personally, at this point, don't care as much whether I play as a male or female character. But when you're a little bit littler, like I said, when I was younger and I'm seeing it in my nieces, you sort of want to play, if you're a little boy, you want to play a guy character. And when you're a little girl, you usually want to play a female character. Now, that doesn't mean that it happens for every person. Just from my experience, the majority of people, that seems to be what it happens as. So, it would be nice to have a few more female representations in there. So, you know, having Dixie Kong would add another female to it. And I know that my nieces, especially, they wanted to play Diddy Kong, but I think the one time they did try Diddy Kong, one of them gave Diddy Kong a try, they took the swatch that I think he wears a pink shirt. So, you know, and he's like, I don't want to play it. But they were playing mostly the female characters, because they didn't know most of the characters from games just yet. They were slowly starting to learn some of the characters from other games, but they did majorly lean towards the female characters, particularly Rosalina and Peach. Because not only did they know them from another game, but then they were also a female character. So, it'd be an easy way to add more representation for the Donkey Kong series, which has sort of been getting a few, like, what was the last game? I don't remember if it was a remake or a new game. But, you know, I've been seeing, like, them trying to get Donkey Kong games a little bit, seems like, back up into, the noticeable realm. So that's another way to give Donkey Kong games, like, individually separated from Mario, a little bit more representation that way. So, solving a few things there. And lastly is going to be the other character who is not a Nintendo, like, main Nintendo character, and it's actually a Echo Fighter of a character that everyone was a little surprised was in the game in the first place, and that is, am I going to say his name? Raiden? Raiden? Or is it Ryder? I think it's Raiden. Raiden? I believe so. I have the game that he's in, but I have not played it. It's Metal Gear Solid, so it'd be the Echo Fighter of Snake, which I love playing as Snake, so I'm really happy that Snake is coming back. I have played Metal Gear Solid games before, but the one that Raiden is, like, the main one in, I have not played. I think you actually play as him, but I do have it, because he's on the box art somewhere. But I never actually got into playing it, actually. I don't know why I didn't give it a try, but I just know that I haven't. But it would be cool to have another person similar to Snake, because I like playing Snake. He's one of the few that is not a sword fighter that I play quite a bit in Brawl, but you know, they got rid of him for the one for Wii U. I don't even know why that was a thing. Like, some of them had reasons. I think Pichu was just because they decided he was way too much like Pikachu. Ice Climbers was because of the DS capabilities and stuff like that. But I don't know what Snake's reasoning was for getting rid of him. But I'm glad that he's back. And I also really like, if you watch the World of Light, like, trailer thing, the really sort of sad part where they're all being basically murdered to a certain extent. I don't know really what's fully happening, because, you know, I haven't actually got to fully see the gameplay. It's just a little bit of a trailer, so you only get to see parts of it and stuff. So I don't know fully what's happening to them. Are they getting frozen? Their spirits getting absorbed? I don't really know what's going on there. But he's trying to hide in his box, but it didn't work. I really like hiding in the box, though. So, just as a funny, that's more of a funny thing I like doing. But the really funny thing, honestly, is I remember one game that I played with friends, and I went to a far corner of the map and hid in my box. And I kept hitting the button to hide in the box as Snake, and hope that they wouldn't see me stand up out of the box, because eventually he would come back out of the box, because it was a taunt, I believe. And I just stayed up there trying to stay in the box, and they didn't notice me for the longest time. Like, I don't know why, because I think the little thing was still up above my head, but I think it was so far up in the corner that they just didn't notice. They was like, where are you? Why have we seen you? I was just in my box. But anyway, so that is going to be my 5 hopeful DLCs and possible Echo Fighters that I would like to see. Let me know down in the comments below if, you know, you're a big Smash Brothers fan. Who are your 5 hopes or beliefs or wants or whatever DLC fighters that you would like to, like, you know, that for Smash Brothers? You know, all that stuff that I just said that I was just about to repeat all over again. Also, what Echo Fighters would you want? Because I literally, like, I was starting to think of Echo Fighters, but I blanked out once I got to thinking of the Echo Fighters, and those the main 4 that I came to. So, let me know if there's any other Echo Fighters that you would like to see, or if there's any funny characters that you would like to see that have, like, no chance. One of them that I was going to mention that I think I'm going to mention now anyway, because I was like, there's absolutely no way, and I don't think I would main that character at all, because I don't see them being, like, super competitive, but they would be hilarious to be in there. If you, watch multiple series on my channel, you know that I play Sims a lot. And when Smash Brothers was first starting to announce characters, I don't know who made it. I don't know if it was someone on the Sims team or someone outside the Sims team, but the people in the Sims team started using it. And someone had made a little logo where it introduces the new characters, and it says, like, blah 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 has entered the battle, and they usually make some interesting comment on how they're entering the battle. And they put it for Bob Pancakes. And I'm not going to necessarily narrow it down to Bob Pancakes, but I'm saying if somehow there was, like, a sim playable character. Now, because the 5 DLCs were decided by Nintendo, I'm going to say that the 5 DLCs are all going to be Nintendo characters, and not any characters from outside of Nintendo. But how hilarious would it be to have a sim? And, like, the different swatches was, like, really popular Sims characters in the game, like Bob Pancakes and, like, Bella Goth and, you know, those people. How funny would that be? Like, that'd be great. Like, some of a Plum Bob could be the weapon or something, or maybe, like, the Final Smash, a bunch of Plum Bobs come down. I don't know. I think it would be hilarious. I know it's not gonna happen, but that would be hilarious. I'm just saying. So that's the final note I'm gonna leave it on. But anyway, like I said, talk to me down below in the comments below on, like, characters you would hope to see, characters you want to see as echoes, and characters that you probably know are not going to go in the game at all, but you would be intrigued to see if they actually ever had a chance, what it would be like a Sims fighter. But anyway, thank you so much for watching. Make sure you hit that lovely like button and subscribe if you're not already. And also, make sure to share the video so that others can enjoy it as well, and also bring in some input as well. Honestly, when it comes to Smash Brothers and DLC fighters and new fighters, some of my input strongly influences by what other people are saying, and when they start talking about it and giving their ideas, I was like, oh yeah, that would be really cool. Like I said with the whole Eevee thing, so definitely seeing y'all's ideas and opinions would be cool, so definitely comment down below, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye bye!